Hello and welcome to Clearview News Desk. We're reaching you live from Nigeria's capital city, Abuja. I am Florence Joshua. Welcome. After 6 turbulent months under emergency rule, Rivers State Governor Siminalayi Fubara has returned to office. His comeback has drawn mixed reactions, with some hailing it as a victory for democracy, while others argue it is too late. Too late for citizens sidelined during the crisis. The sole administrator who held sway is facing allegations of favoritism but has rejected calls for a probe. Meanwhile, FCT Minister Nyesom Wike is under fire for allegedly imposing loyalists on the state. The big question remains: who truly benefits from Rivers' political drama? We have a commentary. For months, Rivers State has been at the center of fierce political storm. The clash between Governor Siminalayi Fubara and his predecessor turned godfather Nyesom Wike has dominated national headlines, exposing the deep grief of godfatherism in Nigeria politics. What started as disputes over appointment and finances soon spiraled into impeachment attempts, defections, and violent clashes. With Rivers' oil wealth and strategic importance, control of the state remains more than local politics. It is a ticket to national influence, keeping the crisis in sharp focus nationwide.
To Tinubu, if Wike can cause Jonathan to lose his election, he will make Tinubu to lose his election. Wike's sole ambition is to be president. And that is why he's fighting a sin. They wanted to take all the money from Rivers State to waste them as he did when he was a governor.
As tensions escalated, Port Harcourt became a theater of political chaos as the assembly complex was attacked and partially destroyed, causing lawmakers to split into rival camps, and the state teetered on the brink of governance paralysis, with civil society groups, religious leaders, and stakeholders warning of an impending breakdown of law and order. It was at this point that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu intervened with several meetings involving both camps. Consequently, the presidency suspended legislative activities and appointed a sole administrator to oversee the state affairs. A rare but decisive move with a goal to stabilize the situation and prevent Rivers State from descending into full-scale anarchy. The appointment of the sole administrator brought a measure of calm, but also sparked controversy as critics argue that the people of Rivers had been disenfranchised due to the suspension of the elected legislators, where key decisions were being made without broad consultations. Allegations of favoritism, contract racketeering, and lack of transparency soon began to circulate.
The provision of the Section 305 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended, to declare a state of emergency in Rivers State with effect from today, 18th March, year 2025, and I so do.
6 months later, the political atmosphere began to shift as calls for Fubara's full reinstatement grew louder, with civil society groups demanding the restoration of democratic governance and the probing of the sole administrator's activities. Finally, Fubara resumed full duties after the expiration of the 6-month emergency rule, signaling the beginning of a new chapter. Upon his resumption, Governor Fubara struck a reconciliatory tone, calling for peace across the state, urging political stakeholders, community leaders, and youth groups to work together for the common good of Rivers people. His first actions focused on rebuilding trust, reactivating stalled projects, and reassuring civil servants and local government councils that normalcy had returned.
Let me first of all appreciate the wonderful people of Rivers State. I am really humbled by what I saw at the airport. I was also briefed with some photographs of what happened here yesterday. That reception really humbled me. It showed love, confidence, and solidarity. I want to say that it is not just the celebration, the massive reception by the number of people who came out to celebrate, but a display or reaffirmation of the bond between this government and the people that we are serving.
But the question remains, who are the winners and losers in this political drama? Analysts argue that the greatest gainers are the ordinary citizens of Rivers, who now have a chance to face their elected government fully functional again. Pro-peace factions, civil society groups and those advocating reconciliation also stand to benefit if Fubara's peace drive succeeds.
The emergency state appears to be a receipt of power grab agents against the development of the state and so deliberately misinform Mr. President.
On the other hand, political cronies and loyalists allegedly imposed on state structures may lose their grip as Fubara consolidates his authority. The sole administrator's camp faces growing calls for a probe, and the once unquestioned influence of Wike in Rivers State politics may now be contested as the governor asserts his independence.
I want to believe that we have achieved the mandate that we were given. And so that also prepares the way for us to return the state to those who are elected to govern.
The next few months will be crucial. Fubara must walk through a tightrope, balancing peace with accountability, asserting authority without reigniting political fires, and proving that his administration can deliver development to his people, despite months of disruption. Rivers State, with its history of fierce political battles, remains a bellwether for Nigerian democracy. How the story ends will not only determine Fubara's legacy, but could also shape the 2027 political landscape. For now, the people of Rivers and indeed the entire country are watching closely. Similarly, the immediate past Rivers State Administrator Vice Admiral Ibok Ete Ibas, retired, and the Rivers State House of Assembly may be gearing up for a showdown, following the latest decision to probe the state expenditure over the last few months under the former administrator. The lawmakers, led by Speaker Martin Ameworu, have announced plans to probe how state funds were spent during the 6-month emergency rule, which ended last week after President Bola Tinubu reinstated Governor Simlai Fubara, his deputy, and the State House of Assembly. At its first sitting after the emergency period, the Assembly resolved to examine expenditures from the Consolidated Revenue Fund, including contracts awarded under Ibas's watch. The retired admiral is, however, pushing back. Speaking through his media aide, Hector, Ibas insisted the Assembly has no authority to investigate him since he was appointed by the president, not the lawmakers. He further dismissed the move as an attempt by legislators eager to reassert themselves after months of suspension. The new Nigerian People's Party has distanced itself from reports that it is defecting to the ruling All Progressive Congress. NNPP's National Secretary, Dr. Ogini Olaposi, made the clarification in Lagos, saying the move to join APC is strictly that of Senator Rabiu Kwankwaso and his Kwankwasia movement, not the party. Kwankwaso, a former Kano State Governor and 2023 presidential candidate of the NNPP, announced over the weekend that he and his supporters were ready to pitch tents with the APC. However, Oloposi insists the development only confirms that Kwankwaso and his group are no longer part of the NNPP, having been expelled for anti-party activities after the 2023 elections. He stressed that any negotiation with Kwankwaso should be in his personal capacity, not on behalf of the party. The NNPP, according to the secretary, is focused on rebuilding ahead of the 2027 polls while leaving the door open for possible alliances decided collectively by its members. Nigeria's former president Olusegun Obasanjo has dismissed persistent claims that he once sought to extend his tenure beyond the constitutional allowed 2 terms in office, maintaining he never pursued such an ambition. Speaking on Wednesday at Democracy Dialogue organized by the Goodluck Jonathan Foundation in Accra, Obasanjo stressed that no proof exists to support the speculation. The former leader argued securing debt relief for Nigeria during his administration was a far more difficult challenge than seeking tenure elongation. Obasanjo further warned against leaders clinging to power out of a false sense of indispensability, noting that the best leadership is delivered when one is young, vibrant, and dynamic. The Enugu State Police Command has arrested at least 38 suspects in connection with the murder of Reverend Father Matthew Eyre of the Nsukka Catholic Diocese while intensifying efforts to track down the assailants. The command spokesman SP Daniel Ndukwe disclosed this in a statement on Sunday in Enugu, adding that the Commissioner of Police, Mamman Bitrus Giwa, had ordered an intensified manhunt for the killers. Meanwhile, CP Giwa commiserates with the family of the late priest and the Catholic Church, assuring that the command will leave no stone unturned in ensuring the perpetrators are apprehended and brought to justice. Clearview News Desk recalls that the priest was killed on the night of September 19, 2025, along the Eha Etiti Road in Eha Aloma community, Nsukka local government area. Over 90,000 people gathered at the Farm Stadium in the state of Arizona, USA on Sunday to honor the life and times of conservative activist and founder of Turning Point USA, Charlie Kirk, who was assassinated at a speaking event earlier this month. Clearview's Gloria Atta, who monitored the memorial service, says it was a moment of grief, forgiveness, celebration, and a renewed call to action over the prevalence of gun violence in the U.S.
It was a night of tributes and encomiums as tens of thousands of supporters, mourners, and members of the U.S. conservative movement gathered to honor the life and legacy of 31-year-old Charlie Kirk, founder of Turning Point USA, assassinated on September 10, 2025, while speaking at a debate event at a university in Utah. Inside, the atmosphere was a mix of eulogy and revival, where Christian hymns opened the service. Present at the event to pay their respects were U.S. President Donald Trump, his vice J.D. Vance, billionaire Elon Musk, senior conservative leaders and activists, among others. In his remarks, President Trump vowed that his death would not be in vain, adding that Charlie Kirk did not deserve to die the way he did.
Charlie's murder was not just an attack on one man or one movement. It was an attack on our entire nation. That was a horrible attack on the United States of America. It was an assault on our most sacred liberties and God-given rights. The gun was pointed at him, but the bullet was aimed at all of us. That bullet was aimed at every one of us. Indeed, Charlie was killed for expressing the very ideas that virtually everyone in this arena and most other places throughout our country deeply believed in. But the assassin failed in his quest because Charlie's message has not been silenced. It now is bigger and better and stronger than ever before, and it's not even close.
In her remarks, Charlie's widow, Erica Kirk, said she has forgiven the 23-year-old Tyler Robinson, the man charged with her husband's murder, saying the answer to hate is not hate.
On the cross, our Savior said, Father, forgive them, for they not know what they do. That man, that young man, I forgive him. I forgive him because it was what Christ did and is what Charlie would do. The answer to hate is not hate. The answer we know from the gospel is love, and always love. Love for our enemies and love for those who persecute us.
Several speakers hailed Kirk as a warrior, a martyr, even as someone who held deep conviction in faith, liberty, and what many described as the mission of young conservatives. Gloria Atta, reporting for Clearview News.
In a rather sad development, a chieftain of the All Progressive Congress Otukpo, Benue State, Honorable Eje Ude, has been shot dead at his residence by unknown gunmen. It was gathered that the gunmen stormed his Obuji residence around 12 a.m. this Monday and opened fire on him in front of his family. Eyewitnesses confirmed that the assailants, who arrived on a motorcycle, laid in wait for him, and as soon as he entered his house, they surrounded him and opened fire. His body has since been deposited at the Otukpo General Hospital morgue. May his soul rest in peace. Authorities in Adamawa State are high on alert following the outbreak of a strange flesh-eating disease that has left residents alarmed. The illness, first reported in rural communities, is said to cause rapid skin decay, open sores, and severe pain. Health officials have yet to determine the exact cause, but preliminary investigations suggest it could be linked to contaminated water or poor sanitation. The Adamawa State Ministry of Health has dispatched emergency teams to affected areas, while urging the public to maintain strict hygiene and seek immediate medical attention if symptoms persist. Meanwhile, the federal government says it is monitoring the situation closely to prevent further spread. And that's the news. You can follow up on latest events and happenings around you via social media platforms on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Clearview News Desk, or via handle on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Clearview Online. Many thanks for watching. I'm Florence Joshua. Bye for now.